Hey guys, what's up? Today we're back again to explain you now the grammatical part of simple past. Okay? Simple past is a very basic structure, is very okay. You just need to pay attention to this. Okay? This is a methodical lesson. So please stay tuned. Okay? Let me open here for you the material. Okay, guys. So let's get started. The lesson 8 on our season 2, beginning of the season 2, second class of the season 2 is about the simple past. What is the secret of simple past? Simple past, guys, we need to pay attention to two important things. Okay? Elvira is here to help me in the class. Right, Elvira? Okay? So first, auxiliary verb. The auxiliary verbs of simple present are do or does. These are the auxiliaries we use in the present. In the past, we only use one auxiliary verb, that is, did. So you use did for I, you, we, they, he, she, and it. Only one auxiliary verb of the past, okay? In opposition of the simple present that we need to use do or does. So a simple sentence on a present, for example, you got here, you study English, the negative, you don't study English, and the interrogative, do you study English? In the past, we have you study it, English. So your verb is in the past. We are going to talk about this in a moment, okay? So you studied English. When you use your auxiliary verb of the past, and this is important, pay attention here, guys. When you use the auxiliary verb of the past, didn't, okay? Your verb returns to the infinitive form. So you use the auxiliary verb of the negative, of the past, sorry, and automatically your verb return to the infinitive form. So it is in negative, and this happens again in interrogative. So you use the auxiliary in the beginning of your sentence, and your verb returns to the infinitive. The situation, guys, is, and this is where people generally confuse, okay? The uses of this. If we are using a sentence in the past, we are talking about an action of the past that is already finished, occurred in the past, okay? This is important. Second, the auxiliary verb. So again, only one auxiliary verb of the past, that is did. We are going to use did and not, okay, in negative, and your verb returns to the infinitive form. And in the interrogative sentence, you transport the auxiliary verb to the start of the sentence, to the beginning of the sentence, and your verb returns to infinitive again. So the only situation you have a verb variation, a verb for the past, is in the situation of affirmative. This is very important. And here I put a note for you to represent this, okay? So in the past, negative and interrogative sentences, return the verb to infinitive form, or some people call base form, a mutual form, a big number of variations to say. But the correct is return to infinitive form. Okay? This is one important thing you guys need to pay attention. You guys, sorry, need to pay attention about the past. All right? Here is the structure. It seems a little confusing or big, but it's not. Okay, so let's check. We have another important thing in simple past. The verbs. We have two kinds of verbs. Regular verbs in the past are the verbs that end in ed. For example, the verb to play in the past, play it. The verb to walk in the past, walked. The verb to study in the past, studied. Okay, so simply you put ed in the final of the verb, and these verbs you put ed in the final are called regular verbs. Okay? Then, guys, we have the irregular verbs of the past. And the irregular verbs of the past is a little bit more complicated. Why? Because they don't have a standard. They don't have a rule. We have a list with a big number of irregular verbs, and they are different between them. And then you ask me, Big John, how do I remember? How do I study these verbs? Man, you need to study and you need to practice at least the verbs that are more used, that are more common. The verb to make, the verb to ring, the verb to go, the verb to be. I'm going to talk about the verb to be, but the verb to be in the past is different and irregular. Okay, the verb to teach, the verb to drink, the verb to eat. So are verbs that we generally use, and they transform to the past according to a list. So they don't have a parameter to transform this into the past. So pay attention to this and study the list. My advice for you, put the verbs in a sack, the irregular verbs in a sack. Every day you pick one verb in the morning. Okay, so you pick a verb and you establish to make 2, 3, 10 sentences a day using that verb to accustomate, to memorize that verbs on your mind. This is a really good tip for you to practice, to use the verbs, to establish a routine of studies. Okay, guys? So here, the structure. You have the subject and your principal verb, your actual verb, your action verb in the base form plus ed. So I played soccer yesterday. You danced ballet last week. Okay? The order of your sentence is equal, like simple present, like the simple future we studied. So subject, the structure you are using, simple present, in the future, and in the simple past, your verb in the past. Okay? That is going to be your action. Then the complement of your sentence. The situation is here, guys, in the negative sentences. And this is the moment people sometimes get confused. So we have the negative sentence. You repeat the subject, you use the auxiliary verb of the past, that is did, junction with not, because your sentence is negative, and your verb. And this is the point. Your verb returns to the base form, to the infinitive form. So return to the present. And this is a problem when people are constructing, are creating a sentence in simple past. So, for example, they use, I played soccer yesterday. In time to make the sentence in negative, they use, I didn't play it soccer. And this sentence is wrong because you use the auxiliary verb with not, okay? The auxiliary verb of the past plus not because it's negative. Automatically, your verb return to the infinitive, return to the present. And after, you repeat your subject. Works like this for irregular and works like this for regular. So the order and the alteration, the return of the verb to the infinitive form, no difference. Works for regular and irregular. It's important only to remember to use the auxiliary verb and your verb, your action verb, your principal verb in the main form, in the base form, following the infinitive. Okay, guys, this is very important and you can't forget. All right. Another situation is when we have our sentence in the interrogative. In interrogative, guys, we are simply going to start your sentence with the auxiliary, did, okay? Repeat the subject, use the verb, and again, your verb returns to the base form or to the infinitive form. So, I played soccer yesterday in negative. I didn't play soccer yesterday. To make the question, did I play soccer yesterday? So use the auxiliary, your verb returns to infinitive form. This is something you must remember. Imperative to remember this structure of the future, of the past, sorry. Okay, guys. Continuing here, if in your sentence you have a WH question or WH word or question word, the way people prefer to use, okay? You start this sentence with the WH, you repeat the auxiliary verb and the rest of the order equal in the interrogative structure. So for example, what did you play yesterday? And again, you are using the WH, you decide to use, you are using the auxiliary verb of the simple past, you are repeating the subject of your sentence, the subject you decide to use, and your verb in infinitive form, in the base form, okay, in the present, because you use did, and the complement of your sentence, the complement you decide. Another example here, where did you go last night? So again, we have the WH question you are using, where you want to know about a location. So where, you repeat the auxiliary verb of the past, where did, repeat the subject, you, where did you, and your verb return to the base form. So where did you go last night? Okay, guys. I hope you are understanding here. This is very, very important. Continuation here. Here, the rules to make a regular verb in the past. So here we are just talking about regular verbs. Okay? Basically, you get the base form, okay? The verb as it is. Play, play it, dance, dance it, work, work it, the way it is. So you use the base form plus ed. You additionate ed on your verb. Okay? Like here, the examples I decided to put here: walk or play. You have walked or played. Okay? When you have a verb that is already finishes in E, you only additionate D because the termination is going to be ED. Okay? For example, the verb to like. The verb already finished in E. So you only additionate D and you have, or the verb to move. The verb already finishes in E. So you're only going to put D and your verb is in the past. The other rule, the verbs ending in a consonant and Y. Only consonant and Y. In this case, you change the Y, so you remove the Y, you cut the Y, and you additionate I, ed. I in the place of Y and ed, for example, carry or study. You remove the Y because the anterior letter is a consonant. Okay? Only if the anterior letter is a consonant. Only consonant and Y. Okay? You remove the Y and additionate I, E, D. Okay? So you cut the Y and additionate I, E, D. All right? Then, some verbs ending in a single consonant, the second letter is a vowel. So we double the last consonant. What is this, guys? Is the rule called CVC in English. What is CVC? We have a consonant, vowel, consonant. Okay? So we have the letter L is a consonant. The letter A is a vowel. The letter N is a consonant. So this is a CVC. In this case, CVC, let me mark here for you, L-A-N, consonant, vowel, consonant. In this case, you double the last consonant and additionate ED. Big John, this is important. Yes, this is very, very important. Especially when you are writing, especially when you are doing a test, an exam, or something like this. Okay? So attention to this. Another good example, stop. We have the T, consonant, O, vowel, P, consonant, CVC. Okay, the final of the three final letters of the word is consonant, vowel, consonant. In this case, we double the last consonant and put ed, end of story. Okay? Important to these rules. Again, only for regular verbs. All right, guys. Here we go. Continuing here. Here, a little more rules for regular and irregular verbs. So as we talk, the regular verbs, we only additionate ed to the final of the word, and there you go, you have your verb in the past. So for example, play. And here, guys, this play is an example of a word that ends in Y, but the anterior is not a consonant, is a vowel. So we don't remove the Y, transform IED, no. It's vowel, and Y only put ED to that. And yes, this is our regular verb, play. Or the verb to dance. The verb to dance, dance. Or the verb to look, goes to look. The irregular verbs in the past, I told you there is a big list. You need to study. Some of them here I put to you. Okay, so for example, the verb to run. Okay, the past form are ran and run. You can use in the past and in past participle. The verb to read, okay? The past forms are read in past simple and in past participle. You are going to study past participle a little front, okay? Relax. The verb to see, okay, is saw in the simple past and seen in participle. Participle is a different situation. Only concentrate here in the forms of past. Read, saw, and read. Okay? The past forms of three of these verbs we have here. Okay? And again, you need to follow a list. Right? Continuing here, now important, the verb to be. The verb to be in the past. A lot of people have problems with verb to be in the past. They don't know how to use. They don't remember the structure. So, yes, João, verb to be exists forms of the past. I am, you are, he is in the present. I was or you were in the past. So here, the forms of the verb to be. In the past, so we are talking about the verb to be, the two forms of past, was and were. Was for am or is, so I am in the past, I was, he is in the past, he was, she is, she was, it is, it was. So for am and is, we use was in the past of verb to be. And for all the forms that we use are, you are, they are, we are, you were going to use were. So you were, we were, they were in the past of the verb to be. And the rest of the verbs, I already talked about the rules with you. The regular form with ed, when you use the auxiliary verb return to infinitive or to the base form. To make the interrogative, you put the auxiliary verb in front. Okay? Here are some examples of usage. Okay? The way you are going to use your sentence. Okay? For example, to express completed action in the past. Okay, so the action is complete or finished. I saw a ghost last Friday. Okay, to describe a complete action or a series of completed actions in the past. I finished work. I finished my year at the university. I finished my classes this year. So this is the situation you are going to use a sentence in the simple past. Okay? And express habits in the past, like the simple present. We talk about habits, routines in the present. The simple past are routines, habits, or frequent actions in the past. The same situation, but now we are talking about the past. Okay, guys? So continuing here, the next slide. Here is important. And if the principal verb is the verb to do, a lot of people have problems here when your principal verb is the verb to do. People forget, people confuse. So let's get going. When our verb is the verb to do, okay? So for example, in the present, they do their homework every class. To make the negative, remember, we studied lesson 4, lesson 5, okay? They don't do their homework every class. And why they don't do? This don't is the auxiliary verb in pink here. All the pinks are the auxiliary verb. And the green is the principal verb, the main verb. Okay, so all the greens are the principal verbs. Here in the past is the same situation, guys. My sentence in affirmative. They did their homework yesterday, and here did is the past of the verb to do. All right? To make my sentence in negative, we need to use the auxiliary verb of simple past, did plus not, didn't, and my principal verb returns to the infinitive form. And my principal verb is the verb to do. So they didn't do their homework. Where? Didn't is the auxiliary verb in pink, auxiliary verb, and my verb that was did in affirmative because the verb was in the past. In negative, when I use the auxiliary verb plus not, my verb returns to the base form or to the infinitive. So my verb is to do. They didn't do. Equal in the interrogative. They did. My auxiliary verb in pink. Did they do? And do is my principal verb that was did here in the affirmative. And now I use the auxiliary, my verb returns to infinitive. So they did they do their homework or they didn't do their homework. Or other example here in affirmative, in present. She does her exercise. Remember the verb variation, do becomes does, or he, she, it. In negative, she doesn't. I use the auxiliary verb corresponding to he, she, it, and my verb returns to infinitive. She doesn't do. The interrogative, again, use the auxiliary verb does, my subject, and my verb returns to infinitive. Does she do her exercise? Equal situation in the past or simple past. So we have here, she did her exercise, the action, the verb to do in the past, did, she did her exercise. To make my negative sentence of the past, I obligatorily need to use the auxiliary verb of the past was not obvious. My sentence is negative. She didn't. And my principal verb returns to infinitive, to the base form. So here we got, she didn't do her exercise. Here is auxiliary verb of the past. Here is the principal verb returned to the infinitive form. Why, Big John? Because I use the auxiliary verb of the past. And again, in the interrogative, start my sentence with the auxiliary verb, did. So did she, that is my subject, and my verb in the infinitive form. Did she do her exercise? So here is the auxiliary, pink, the subject, and my principal verb, my action verb, the verb to do. Here, the principal verb in green. Okay? This is something you need to focus, guys. This is the important part of the simple present, the simple past, sorry. Okay? So I hope you have enjoyed this lesson. You have understood. So if you have any questions, any problems, any doubts, ask me in the comments here. I answer back to you. Okay? And if you like the video, share, like, subscribe. You know what to do. Okay? So see you next class, guys. See you later. Bye-bye.